It's Mooney from the Muniverse, and if you're just sitting there thinking, I'm just getting started, I don't even know where to begin, I want you to know that you're in exactly the right place. And it's the most magic moment that you'll have. That excitement of choosing this and saying, I'm going to do it. And it's before you go through all the twists and turns of the journey into this world of becoming a spiritual entrepreneur. Everything is hope, everything is possibility, everything is a clean blank slate. A fresh slice of paper, before you've done anything to it. It's this beautiful, wonderful moment that I want you to capture and bottle and remember so that when you hit these moments where, and you will, some challenges along the road, that you can carry this feeling with you and it'll help you get through it. Now, I say this because over the last 10 plus years or so, I've experienced some twists and turns. I've had a little bit of a journey, and everything about it has led me to this moment. So I'd like to think of this as this entire experience you had prior to making the choice of, I'm going to do this, was what shaped the experience. And now, as you're stepping into the role of spiritual entrepreneur or thinking about it, that it starts a new, fresh chapter in a journey that's going to unfold in new and exciting ways. And it's all going to be about how you do what you love to do. So let's explore this a little bit more. And I want to talk about this feeling. So, this feeling of, I don't really know where to begin, is totally normal, and it's part of the process. So it's necessary, even, I would say, because every empowered, every thriving, every spiritually led business you see today, everyone who's anyone in the spiritual industry started exactly where you are now, with a hope, a wish, a dream, and a prayer, but not necessarily the tools or structures or strategies or anything to get you there. And it started in that same spot. It was either, we called it a blank page or a nudge from the universe, or an inner ding, like Louise Hay used to call it, and a soul that says yes. Those are the things that you need. And that's that feeling that you have right now. But before we get to all of that, I want to talk about where we came from. A lot of us accept and know and kind of live from the place that we're spiritual beings having this human experience, and that taking this gift and this thing that we get to do and sharing it with the world sometimes for us is the next step in the evolution of that experience, right? We go from spiritual beings having a human experience to then sharing that experience with others so that they can get back in touch with that spiritual part of themselves. So when I talk about that place where we come from, where we go, where we get in touch with when we meditate or when we're having some sort of initiatory or spiritual experience, I refer to that as the void. And the void for me is this kind of safe, beautiful, light. I think about this as the void, actually. A friend of mine created that painting, and it's just a joyful, colorful, beautiful place. I know a lot of people think the void is just like endless, empty, whatever. You can make your void whatever you want it to be. Mine's happiness and sunshine and flying dolphins and manta rays and crystals. But that void is the place that we feel the most in connection with our spiritual selves. And I love that we get to experience little glimpses of it as we have this human experience. But part of this is tied to us becoming spiritual entrepreneurs, is being able to tap into a different part of, or even more of, our spiritual selves so we can get out there and start doing this thing that we love. So let's talk about it. Before there were offers, before there were clients, before there were websites, or there was clarity, there was just this internal whisper, this question. You can call it a tug or a calling or that ding that we just said a minute ago. And the question sort of floats around as, is it really possible to do what I love to do and get paid for it? Can I really help people with my spiritual gifts? Is it okay to be visible and spiritual and successful? That's a big one. And the answer, of course, is yes. This is in the void what we would call the activation point, or that spark that happens that creates this entire experience as it unfolds for you. And it's a magical, awkward, slightly scary, slightly exciting beginning that all of us again get to have as we're stepping into this choice to get out there and start sharing our gifts with the world. And I encourage all of you to really think of it as a choice, right? For no reason whatsoever other than my inner ding is telling me I'm going to do this because I want to find out what happens on the other side of that next thing that I overcome or that next piece of the puzzle that I discover. So I want to encourage you to just think about that beginning part way back in the void before you were even in this human body this time around. If you can, just imagine for a minute what it would be like to be floating around in all of that beautiful warm energy. You've got your stingrays flying around, you've got your crystals floating, you got rainbows coming out of everywhere, and it's just the most joy-filled place. And this thought comes to you of, what are you going to do with this lifetime that you're about to experience, this human life? What do you want to bring with you from the void so that you can share it with other people and you can live from that place? So that's what I'm talking about. That's where I get excited. I'm getting tingles just saying, to think back to where that was, because anywhere you intuitively go with it, it's going to be correct, right? So whatever the void was for you, whatever that thought was, whatever that thing was that you wanted to bring forth, it's already happening, and you know better than anyone else what it really is. So think a lot about that. I want you to even journal about that later, or next time that you meditate, try to get back in touch with that space so you can remember it again. So this activation point gives you a couple of truths. First and foremost, your clients, your future clients, are not looking for perfection. They're looking for presence, and they're looking for you exactly as you are right now. Let's take that in for a minute and just remember. So your future clients are not looking for perfection. They're looking for presence, and they're looking for you exactly as you are right now. And I hope that brings you a little bit of comfort, and I hope that feels familiar, because that's exactly how it would feel when you're back in the void. For you to be able to act from that place, to take action, to think, to feel, to plan, to create from that place, instead of any human concern with ego or fear or doubt or self-judgment. So let's talk a little bit about what we think we need as spiritual entrepreneurs and what we actually need as spiritual entrepreneurs. So these beliefs, I think, are what keep most of us stuck in this idea of someday. Someday I'll do this. Someday I'm going to launch this thing. Someday I'm going to write my book. Someday I'm going to, get out there and start sharing my gift or speaking my truth. And so what happens is we fall into one of these traps that I talk about all the time, which is perfection paralysis. And perfection paralysis manifests as all of these reasons why I'm not ready to, or I can't, or it's not the right time. It's all of that. It becomes a little bit of an obsession of having everything be just perfect before I can do it. And that might keep you stuck in a loop for decades before you actually get out there and start doing it. So what perfection paralysis takes the form of for a lot of spiritual entrepreneurs is this. So first and foremost, you think you need a huge following, but what you actually need is a real offer and a clear voice. You think you need a certification in everything, but what you really need is to trust in your lived experience. You think you need a complete website with a funnel and all that stuff built. What you really need is a place to invite people to experience your work. And you think you need total clarity and confidence, which is nice, but you really need the courage to start messy and keep going. Now, I think back to my very beginnings as a spiritual entrepreneur and the concept behind perfection paralysis before I'd even learned it. And here I am back 10 plus years ago, first project out of the gate, huge success. Second launch out of the gate, enormous success. Third launch, thinking I could do no wrong, was a colossal failure. And I remember thinking in that colossal failure, that's it. That's it. I messed up. I don't deserve to be here. I shouldn't be doing this. I'll just pack up my stuff and go home. Something in here told me to keep going. That whisper, that ding, that spark, something said, keep going, keep doing it. And I got to that fourth launch and I did it. And it was the biggest success I had to date. And I would never have discovered it if I had stopped at launch number 3. So I want to remind all of you that perfection paralysis sometimes is the thing that's right at the edge of breaking through to the thing that you want to be doing, or the knowledge that you want, or that internal restructuring of having a whole new set of beliefs, or moving beyond beliefs and knowing and allowing things to come toward you. So I want you to just remember those challenges that are in front of us are there for a reason, and perfection paralysis is one of the biggest challenges out there for spiritual entrepreneurs. So I want to talk a little bit about how to get around that. So in those early phases of doing this, your job at this point is to begin, right? Is to do it messy, to do it as sloppily and as freely and as playfully as you possibly can, so that you can move past all of those reasons why not, or all of those objections that are saying, hey, no, you're not ready. You're not ready to do this. You got to wait. You got to do this. You got to do that. You got to spend more time on it. And so there's more to this list, right? What you think you need versus what you actually need. So I'd love you to play with this idea next time you're journaling, is to take a piece of paper and just write down the middle with a line. And on one side, put what I think I need. And on the other side, what I actually need. And anytime you think of something or something pops into your mind about what's stopping you, I want you to write those things down. And then the next time you meditate, or the next time you get in touch with spirit or go back into the space of the void, and you start flying around with the dolphins and the narwhals, that you start to figure out what is it that you actually need. What is it that this thing you think you need is trying to tell you about the thing that you actually need? And getting through the perfection paralysis gently can help with loosening some of the earth around it so that you can move forward and start examining and exploring what works. If you want something that works a little bit faster, though, I'm very excited to share with you the thing that got me out of it was adopting a mindset of done versus not done. So when I look at something that needs to get done, or that I want to complete, that's part of my business, whether it's a product, an email, a web landing page, of anything that becomes a part of your marketing strategy, or even as you're just getting started, putting it down on a piece of paper, or even just saying it out loud, who you are and what you can do and who you want to help. The way around all of it is to ask yourself, is it done or is it not done? There's only two choices. There's no sort of ready or halfway done or I'm still working on it. Those don't exist. It's putting you in a position to say, is it done? Yes or no. And if the answer is no, work on getting it done. And if the answer is yes, congratulations, you did it. And it's version 1.0 of the thing that you're creating. And that beginning version of it is not going to be perfect. No version of it will be. But you get to enhance it to level 2 and level 3 and level 4. And you move around this beautiful energetic spiral staircase as every time you come back around to whatever it is you're working on, the energy raises around it. And the way that you attach to it raises around it until you keep going up and up and up until you get to a point that you feel, okay, I can move to something else. And the gift in all of this, and the thing that I'm the most excited about sharing with you so that you can see it in action, is to start practicing this beginning part of I am ready to share who I am with the world. That's what I want you to practice, right? So every system, every strategy, every sale starts with one internal decision. I'm ready to share who I am with the world. Take a deep breath in. Let it out. Work on this as an affirmation. I'm ready to share who I am with the world. If you can say that out loud now, done versus not done, check that off as done. If you stop yourself from saying that for any reason, not done. If you sit down to write it down in your journal and you have 75 different versions of it, it's a great start. I love that. It's almost done. If you have 75 different versions of it and you circle one, and that one that you circled starts to create an emotion inside of you because it feels right and it feels accurate, you're done. And you're ready to move on to the next step of what you need to do. So that's the beginning part. That's the magic of speaking this into existence and speaking it with certainty and clarity and confidence. But you don't need any of that. You really could just say it out loud. I want to do this thing. And it's done. And the next time you get to say it, you get to refine it a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more until you find that emotional connection. That ding starts to resonate even more as you get closer to the truth of what it is. So you don't need to be more spiritual. You don't need to be more tech savvy. You don't need to be more articulate or more visible just yet. You don't need to choose your own alignment over your old stories. You just have to choose to do it or not do it. And I know that sounds a little harsh, but that's the reality. I'm going to go there or I'm not going to go there. There's nowhere in between. And what happens when you do this? The universe is going to meet you with momentum. So if you are ready to begin this journey, come on over to themuniverse.com. The Launch Your Spiritual Business program is there to help unlock this and so much more of those magical beginning steps so that you don't have to do it alone. You can do it with a community of people that are supporting you, and you'll have a coach and a guide showing you the way. So join me at themuniverse.com, start your spiritual business journey over here, and I hope to see you very, very soon.